God is no longer an undefined entity or an old man on a cloud. He's now a father figure, an overhead of a family with sons under him. And now there is an oncoming sons. We are getting to know him a little bit better and also how he lives. So, welcome to Leah's Bible Babble Psalms. God is strength and something or someone to be able to rely on. Then why do I say someone or something? Well, the way I see it, God can be both. In line 2, it says, God is our refuge and strength, a helper in need that never let us down. Now that is a statement, reassurance of always having God by your side. No matter what the world throws at you, God will not back down from your side. A new theme arrives, and now the text will be repeated throughout the Psalms in this episode, and that is the city of God, and that city is on a mountain. This idea is nothing new or revolutionary. Throughout history of mythology, there has been gods that lives on some sort of a holy mountain or a holy city. For example, you have Asgard in the Norse mythology or Mount Olympus in the Greek mythology. And also in the Jewish tradition, we have Mount Sinai, the same mountain that Moses got his 10 commandments from God. Then we have the place itself, the mountain. There's a representation of something holy, a place to get closer to the gods in some mythologies, while in other traditions it's strictly forbidden and even to get near the mountain itself. Mountains represent something solid, beautiful but non-achievable sometimes, and for a good reason. A lot of the world's most holy mountains are so high that it can be dangerous to even climb them without oxygen. And some mountains are actually volcanoes and even active ones. Today we know about how and why volcanoes erupt, but thousands and thousands of years ago, it was the common belief that the gods were displeased with something and therefore erupted. So in line 6 it says, therein lives God, the one that can never fall. They will be given help by God when the morning comes. Where God lives, his fortress will never fall, no matter what anything else happens. God is also the God of peace. He ends all war all over the world. He breaks the bow and trashes the spear. He burns down the shields. And well, thanks to trade, the known world for the writer, and this song was actually quite big. It stretches from the harbors of the Mediterranean Sea to the traveling ways of the Silk Road from Israel to Indo-European cities. So there was no end of God's peace. This is one of the shortest psalms in the book, with only 10 lines, but the message is clear. Anyways, in line 7 to 9, it says, play and sing to the glory of God. Play and sing to the glory of the King. Yes, God is the King of the world. Sing a song to his glory. God is King over all people. God sits on his holy throne. I actually got to think of the song Let It Rise. Let the glory of the Lord rise among us. You might have heard it before, but there's a link in the description down below if you want to listen to it in the entirety. Well, the writer of both the psalm and the song lyrics were not wrong. We need more glory to the Lord. Now we get the term City of God once again, and it's located on Mount Zion. In line 4, we get to know that God lives in a palace. But what is really interesting is in the third verse, in lines 13 and 14. The palace has towers and mounts, which means it's a fortified building. Fortified in the meaning of thick stone walls. Those walls would also keep the building cool under the blazing sun, protect against sandstorms, and give shelter for those in need. The mental picture that occurs in all of our minds when we talk about castles is the one from the European Middle Ages. But now we need to go another 1,000 years back in history. The palaces back then were normally built like in a square with a tower high enough that those who use the tower get an vantage point to get an oversight of the battlefield. And the walls needed to be so high that an enemy would be intimidated. And adding a mound around the walls gives you the illusion of the walls are even higher. If there was a mound around the building, it was more like a ditch than something filled with water. But no matter how the palaces looked like, there were some things that were more important, and because they needed to have some things. A storage for food, a source of fresh water, and living quarters for those that defended the building and for those that lived there on a regular basis. And the difference between castles, palace, and fortress, well, they're not much, but most of the time it's about who was living in the building and when in history. So a palace might be more of a place of worship there than somewhere to live. Then we have the first part of line 13, walk around Zion. The word Zion can mean different things, from the name of the kingdom of heaven to the hill north of Jerusalem. So let's assume that Zion is, in this psalm, is the hill or mountain in Jerusalem. It was here that King David established the capital of Israel. His son Solomon built the first temple of Jerusalem here, and the grave of King David is also here. So the mountain is holy, and is also was and still is important for Christians and Muslims, but that is irrelevant when it comes to the psalm itself. Here we have a more proactive writer. He wants to tell a story, but also listen to words of wisdom. So like in line 8, no one can buy themselves free and pay ransom to God. With the meaning that you can't pay you free from death, no matter how rich you are. But then comes the punchline in line 16. But God will buy me free, he will take me out from the valley of death. Well, we all know how well that went with the sacrifice of Jesus. The words of wisdom continues in line 18. Nothing he can take him with him into death. The riches don't follow him down there. These are words of wisdom that have been preached throughout the centuries, and we still haven't learned from them. We get to know a new name among the different authors of the Psalms, and that is Asaph. And he was the leader of the Levians temple singers in the Temple of Jerusalem. The tone through the whole psalm is worshipping, but from God's perspective, which I found both interesting and intriguing. In line 6, it established that God is the one that judges. But in line 7, God wants to talk to his people. And here something cool is happening. God don't want to have blood sacrifices in forms of bulls and goats, with the argument that he already had access to all the animals, if all the wild animals, if he ever gets hungry. And the sacrifice of bulls was also common among those that followed the god Baal. And the Hebrews saw them as infidels, so it's understandable that the Hebrew God would not want to be associated with them. Instead, will the line 15 and 23 be the message of the psalm? Call out to me when you are in need. I shall save you, and you will give me glory. The one that sacrifices for thanksgiving will honor me. The one that follows my path shall receive God's help. So, thank you for watching and listening to me. Please leave a comment and share and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. In the description down below, you will find useful links for my other social media accounts for music, etc. Browse around in here. There's something for both the seeker and for the believer. In here, the roof is high, the threshold is low, and the doors are wide open for everyone. So thank you once again, and I hope I see you soon. But remember, if you can't be anything, at least be kind. Love and light to all of you. Bye.